3, 2, 1, boom! Broadcasting live from the center of the universe. Presenting the world's only business school without the BS. With optometrist and entrepreneur Dr. Robert Zellner and USSBA Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark. Get ready to enter the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170.
Yes, sir. It's Z and Clay, broadcasting from the box in the 918. Business school and the topic today. Check the syllabus, it's getting you paid. I'm making the business boom, it's what we do. You can do it, let us show you. All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to the conversation. Today we are talking about trade shows. Trade shows and trade shows. You see, a lot of people want to go to a trade show to pick up new business, to gain new clients. And so what we're teaching you today is how to dominate trade shows. You see, there's usually 100 vendors at a trade show or more competing for the attention of the customers. And I would say that at a typical trade show, there might be 80 to 90 of the vendors that are usually just going to be sitting by, lazily sitting down in their booth while dispassionately passing out print pieces and brochures.
On their phones.
On their phones, right. But you're taking typically 2 to 3 full days of your team's time. I mean, your team's going to be there like 12 hours a day for 2 to 3 days in a row. And so if you're going to go to a trade show and invest the time for 2 to 3 of your people to be there all day, I mean, that's a massive commitment of time of your team and resources where you're not doing something else. If you're going to commit that much time to something, you might as well just nail it. And so here are the things that your coach would help you work through that you'd really want to come to grips with and know before you go to the trade show. So one is you want to know the break-even point for the show. Marshall, you need to know the number of deals that you need to have for the show to pay for itself. Why do you have to do that, Marshall?
A lot of business owners, they'll go to these trade shows without any clear idea of what a success at the trade show looks like. And so you define what that success is by knowing the number of deals, the approximate profit that you would need to make from all of the deals that you generate from the trade show in order to get to that goal.
And you have been to the Dallas Bridal Show.
Oh, yeah.
Over there, right across the street from the Anatole Hotel in Dallas area. And you've been there. You've worked in the booth for the companies I've had in the past, DJConnection.com, as well as Epic Photography. You've helped your clients in all different industries to do well at trade shows. But when we went to the trade show in Dallas, the Dallas Market Hall, there was about 250 or 300 vendors, I believe. And you have to stand out, but you also have to know the break-even point. So in your mind, you knew you were trying to book, one bride per hour?
Yeah.
So one bride per hour. That's kind of the second step is you have to have a quota for each teammate. So when I'm at the show and you've worked a booth with me or you've worked a booth with our team, we're not sitting around, are we? I mean, we know how many we have to get to.
No, the difference is a lot of business owners and other vendors are just sitting there passing out these flyers, and they don't care whether or not somebody comes to their booth or not. In fact, we kid around when we were down there, like, how do some of these vendors come back year after year after year?
Well, we just got our name out there.
Yeah. And
got our name out there.
So if you need to book 1 per hour, that means that you got to set 5 appointments per hour, which means that you got to talk to probably about 10 people per hour, which means you got to get rejected about 20 times per hour.
We're just getting our name out there.
And setting quotas is a thing I see a lot of people not want to do, like holding their team accountable.
Right.
And you've got to place a sense of urgency with those team members that are working your booth, or they will fall into the same thing everybody else is doing. They'll start talking to the people at the next booth. They'll be sitting there on their phone. They have to know, hey, we have got to sign up, like you said, 1 an hour or whatever that is.
So at the Dallas Market Hall, there's like about 300 vendors. And it costs us all in to rent the booth. It's about $1,000 for all the decoration and stuff to put in the booth. The setup, it's another $1,000 or $2,000, and then to pay the team to be there. All in, it's about $5,000 to go to a show. So I know specifically how many weddings we have to book to make the show pay for itself. The third thing is you have to have a game plan that's proven to work, and your coach will help you through the game plan. But this could be a very, very long training session. because there's so many details to master, which is why we have a ton of videos available for you at thrivetimeshow.com. We're putting a link to those videos on today's training because there's a lot of details, but you have to have a proven game plan to make the trade show work. Then the final thing you have to have is you have to have the willingness to actually train your team until they reach a level of excellence before attending the show. Marshall, you've seen me role play with the team. We're training. We're setting up the system in Tulsa. We're setting up the equipment. We're setting up the trussing. We're rolling out the flooring. We're putting out the bistro tables. We're putting up the TVs. We're taking down the TVs. We're setting up. We're role playing. Marshall, we get to a level of excellence before we've even got outside of our own building, let alone shut up at the trade show. We're not training people at the trade show. We're training people before we get to the trade show.
That's right. I've never seen this process take less than 10 hours.
Yes.
Okay, so you got to ask yourself, when am I blocking off 10 hours of dedicated training for how to talk at the trade show? And so you got to make sure that you're putting this in the schedule. This is training time with your team. Anybody that's going to the show had better be trained.
Now, what you have to do before you invest all this time is I'd recommend that you would find the best trade show in your industry. And you would find that by calling the top vendors in the industry and asking them if the show is in fact good. Because there are so many crappy trade shows out there. I would argue that for every 5 trade shows, there are probably 4 are crappy and terrible and should not exist. So you don't want to go to a mobile pop-up flea market. You want to go to a trade show where that it will be populated by your ideal and likely buyers. If your ideal and likely buyers are not there, then there's no point to going. Now, once you get there, you have to get the attention of the ideal and likely buyers. Seth Godin, the best-selling author and the man who sold his company Yo-Yo-Dine to Yahoo for $30 million, once wrote, "You are either remarkable or invisible." So what you want to do at the trade shows, you want to stand out. You want to make sure that you stand out. So I'm going to give you 3 really easy moves you can do. 1, you can make your booth taller than every other booth.
I love that move.
It works really well. And all you do is you make it taller than every other booth. There's a company called Omni Lighting. That's Omni Lighting. They will rent you all the materials you need. There's also trade show booth companies that will do this for you. Then you put up lights or they're LED lights that shine and get people's attention. That works. Another move you could do is you could have a big sign that says, "We're giving away free lunch or free drinks or free whatever." And people will come to your booth for the free drinks, the free lunch, the free whatever. That's a move. And the third move you can do is you can create kind of a party atmosphere. You can have music playing. You can have your team dressed up a certain way. I've seen fitness companies have men who are built like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, nobody's built like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but people that are extremely muscular, like competitive weightlifters.
Tree trunks for arms.
Standing in the booth shirtless, greeting people. I've seen that move. I've seen them do it where they've got polo shirts on that are impossibly too small and they don't fit, and they're just in the booth greeting people.
Yoked.
I've seen people put a Lamborghini in their booth to get people's attention.
Did you tell me a story one time about a client that had the Green Man suits? They were
Yes, and this is a move. One particular client I worked with, they had a trade show, and at the trade show, they had men wear a green suit, so it looked like the man had like a faceless man.
Yeah, it's weird.
And they wore a green man suit. And if you go to YouTube and you type in the OxyFresh Green Man, you can see this guy, the Green Man. And they had people wearing green suits that were running around the trade show. And it gets everyone's attention when you see a guy who's wearing a full body suit that's green.
With no face.
With no face. Yeah, it works, okay? So the whole point of the trade show, though, is to first get the attention. The next step is you want to have a meaningful discussion with your ideal and likely buyers. And the third step is you want to set an actual appointment. The goal at the trade show is not to get a deposit at the trade show. So let me give an example. People would walk by your booth, and your booth would be getting everyone's attention because the booth is taller than everybody else. And then you would say, "Hey, are you in need of home siding?" And they would say, "Nope." Next person, "Hey, are you in need of home siding?" "Nope." "Hey, are you in need of home siding?" "Nope." "Are you in need of siding for your home?" "Nope." "Are you in need of home siding?" "Yeah, actually I am." Marshall, you saw that happen in our own office.
Yep.
Remember that? You were working with Tom, the siding guy.
Oh, yeah.
And you were doing training on getting ready for a trade show, I believe.
That's right.
And you said what? You said, "Hey, are you in need of siding or something?"
Yeah.
Remember that?
I told him you just got to ask everybody, every single person.
Are you in need of siding?
Yep.
And I walked in the room and I said, I am.
I am in need of siding, actually. Wait, I think I do need.
And you guys were just role-playing.
We're role-playing.
But I sincerely needed siding.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, who's doing our siding now?
And you should probably ask everybody that isn't at a trade show, are they in need of siding?
And I think we're kind of an expensive customer. I think we have a lot of siding we need. I think it's kind of
Oh, shucks.
Oh, shucks.
I think it's like $15,000 of siding that we just had to put on or something.
Yeah, it's. I mean, but it's important.
You got a
that
big deal there, Tom.
You got to ask everybody, every single person at the trade show. You're asking them. You do not be discouraged if somebody says, nope, not looking for it.
So you have to ask everybody. And typically, if you ask 100 people at a trade show filled with ideal and likely buyers, whether it's a home and garden show or a wedding show or something, about 3 to 5% of the people will say, yes, I am in need of a photographer. I am in need of siding. I am in need of whatever it is you're selling, Chup.
One thing that I learned from doing the wedding shows with your system, Clay, and with you and with Marshall and some of the other guys was that preparing your team for that exact mindset, just telling, like, make it fun. Like, oh man, another rejection. Oh, just got stone faced, just got stonewalled, whatever. Like,
we
you
make
know what
it
I mean?
fun.
Make it fun. You are going to get told no and ignored so many times. It's okay. It's all good.
Whenever people said they weren't interested in something, I used to work with the guys as a technique. I said, you ask somebody, hey, are you in need of a photographer? And if they say no, then as a fun way for you to have good therapy, you could say, would you be interested in like, you could just say like free money or something. Were you interested in free money? And if they said yes, they say, sorry, we don't have it. Just so you can see
Get a yes.
that if you can see that if you had what the person wanted, then they would be interested. But a lot of people start to say this false narrative. They say, everyone at the trade show is not here to buy anything. They're just wasting their time. Well, really, but so you ask somebody, hey, are you in need of photography for your wedding? And if they said no, then you go, would you be interested in free money? And if they said yes, you realize that they're not rejecting you. They're rejecting the question.
Right.
That's the move. So then what you do is you have to have a trade show checklist. And your coach will help you do this. But the trade show checklist has 30 items that you have to bring. So, Chup, I'm going to list them off here.
Oh, yeah.
You got to have, 1, lead sheets with the standardized pricing. And if you want an example, we have it available for you on today's show notes. You just go to thrivetimeshow.com, you click on podcast, and this whole checklist is available for you. If you're ever wanting to be at a trade show, you've got to get to this information. I'm telling you, it's the secret sauce. Companies have paid me thousands of dollars to help them have a successful trade show, and we're giving away that knowledge for free. 2, you got to have a no-brainer offer, an offer that's so good people can't say no to it. 3, you've got to have trussing and a booth design that makes sense, and we have an example available for you on today's show notes. You want to have flat screens that show your company's name and some kind of movement. You want to have 8 up lights, 4 bistro tables, 4 linens for your bistro tables, 1 6-foot table, 1 linen for your 6-foot table, 1 laminate flooring, 4 clipboards, and 1 person whose entire job is bring people into your booth. And then you have to have 4 salespeople whose entire job is to set appointments, 1 appointment setter whose entire job is to, and you get it. There's a big list.
Big old list.
And your coach will help you. But the final capstone thought I want to give you on this is there is no shortcut to greatness. You have to invest at least 8 hours in training your team before the show. When they get to the show, they already need to know how to set appointments. They already need to know how to follow up. They already need to know how to be successful.
It's a trade show, not a train show.
Nice. But you want to prepare your team so that you can hold them accountable. Because if you haven't properly trained your team, then you can't hold them accountable. Get with your coach for details on how to run an effective trade show.